Welcome to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast with your hosts, Jason Balin and Ian Horowitz.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Where are you? Where the heck are you?
I'm always on the move. You never know where I'm going to show up. You know, we've been talking about it a lot of operator mode type stuff. I'm in technician operator mode right now. I'm over at a 76-unit apartment building that we just took management over on, and that we're eventually going to be purchasing here in the very near short future. So I am in the basement, in the maintenance man's closet. So if I lose you guys, that's why. But I'm here and excited.
Damn, you're doing it all today. The technician side, the manager side, the visionary side. You got the whole E-Myth, the whole E-Myth going in one.
Yeah. So here I am. I'm ready to rock and roll. So I apologize if I got bad video, but I'm here.
All good. Well, we got a super exciting show today. We got Zack Bryant from Northrop Realty that's going to be hopping on in a second. Super excited to have him on. You know what I was thinking about earlier today, Ian? You know how I always start every show with I love interviewing, fill in the blank,
right?
Thing.
Yep.
That's the case with everything. I love interviewing real estate agents in general because they have such a good pulse on what's going on in the market. They're dealing with so many buyers, so many sellers, so many potential lenders, title companies, maybe even contractors. So really excited to get Zack up here in a second. So today is Monday, May the 11th. We timestamp every show. Obviously, we believe that's very important as things go on because things that we might have talked about yesterday might not be relevant today or tomorrow. So it's important that we're timestamping all of these shows. What else do we have today? Anything in particular besides the whole bunch of mess it looks like you have behind you?
No. We got Zack, and I have not. I'll be honest, I have not had a chance to look up anything else that's going on. I've been grinding it out all morning, but I'm sure he'll bring up something that will spark our interest, and we'll go from there.
Cool. Well, Zack's an amazing person. I've known him for a few years now, and when he hops on right now, it's impressive how he's grown. His real estate sales for over $130 million. Since he got into this business in 2014. That's pretty impressive. I don't really know any other real estate agents that have done that, but let's have Zack hop on real quick and we'll go from there. What's up, man? What's up, Zack?
What's up, guys? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Great. How are you?
Good.
So
just trying to keep it going.
Absolutely. So why don't we just start a little bit of background just about you and maybe how you got started in real estate in 2014.
Yeah, so I was working in, corporate America. I was in the sports industry and just wanted more for myself, just more for my life, my family, opportunities, and just to enjoy what I was doing. So where I was really wasn't getting that and decided that I wanted to take a shot and just get into kind of owning my schedule, running my own business. Thought real estate was cool. Really have always enjoyed houses and how they work, and kind of just took a leap of faith, quit my job, and jumped on with Craig. I've been, it was the Craig Northrop team back in 2014. I had met his son, Will, at another company, and just reached out as the first person I reached out to in the industry, and kind of lucked out, hit the jackpot there. So it's been almost 6 years, right around 6 years.
Exactly. No, that's great. So what would you say? Because obviously I don't know on average what a normal real estate agent does. Whatever, a transaction a month or whatever the case is.
It's maybe one a month on average.
Like what would you say has really helped you just catapult to where you were at, from the beginning? And obviously I'm assuming these are key principles that you follow on a regular basis to get to where you are today. Yeah.
I mean, I think number one is, Jeff, just be authentic, be yourself. Don't try to put on a show. I mean, do that, but make that's who you are. Don't try to put on a front like you're somebody you're not. And, I've always held that with me and thought that, okay, if I just meet people and put myself in situations where, like open houses, I mean, it's funny because we can't do them right now. So I've definitely evolved with some things there, but open houses were my principle from day one because Craig Northrop did open houses. I mean, even when I joined, it was like he was already like a celebrity 6 years ago. And, I was like, that guy works open houses. That's crazy. Like, what is he doing? Wasting his time. Then I realized that it's actually a great way to exponentially meet people and, putting yourself in those situations where, like, when you guys do an event and you're having new investors come, they may know other people to borrow money from, but just the meeting alone puts you in a category of being able to meet with them. I'm from here. That certainly helps. I grew up in Baltimore City. I've kind of done business in the metro area. So Baltimore and all the surrounding counties, including Howard County, and that's where Northrop is from. Baltimore County, Harford County, places like that. And my parents are counselors. That's what they do. They're entrepreneurs. So I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. And I think I just so appreciated being able to run my own business when I got in that, my first year in the business, I was the number one agent, at when it was the Craig Northrop team, there was 50 or 60 people. I was the number one agent units wise the first year I was there because I was just determined. And the pace at which I work, I learned from Craig. Craig works at a much faster pace than everybody else. And that's one of the main reasons he's so successful is just he not only moves at a quick pace, but he moves on and solves problems much faster than anybody I've been around. He's just so good at that. Like he almost attracts the problems to then be done with them, but they don't stick around long. Well, they don't stick around. So he doesn't ever have like drama surrounding him when you're around him. If you have a question or something that you need help with, he can give you an answer to pretty much everything in a sentence or two. And a lot of it's stuff you already knew. You just maybe didn't think to ask the right way.
Well, and I think that comes back to a good coach or a good leader. They usually have an answer, and it's not that it wouldn't be beneficial if you said, "Hey, Zach, this is the answer. Go on." You know what I mean? Whereas he can get you to extract it. And when somebody extracts that information from you, it goes a long way. And I think that's really neat that you brought up all those points. What do you see as going forward? With open houses, you said that was like a great way for you to really get going. Where do you see that going from here, and the likelihood of open houses even coming back?
Yeah. Well, I think the good thing is people typically don't even buy shoes online. So this whole movement of like people are going to start actually buying houses online, I'm not sold on it. I think it definitely helps weed out some houses that you might not want to look at if you have the 3D tour and whatever else it is, better access to more tools. But I think people have to go in houses. So what I think it may do is it may drive people to realtors earlier in the process because they don't have that, especially right now, they don't have that advantage of saying, you know what, I'll just go see a bunch of houses first and then I'll contact a realtor once I maybe find one I like. A lot of people take that approach. And so I think let's just talk about the rest of the year. That's going to be a little bit different. I do think they will open back up. There goes Ian. There he is. I do think they will open back up. But I think that it's so hard to say. I mean, I'm moving as if they're never going to be able to happen again. So I'll be okay. It's just that, I mean, people are going to basically need to get in touch with realtors earlier and educate themselves earlier versus waiting to the last minute when they absolutely need somebody versus when they should have first contacted somebody. It's like somebody, applying for a loan or going and getting information for a loan a week before they want to apply versus 6 months before to know what they should do in the process.
So we're talking about not having open houses. Is that where that kind of
well, no, I think we will. I think they will be back.
Okay.
But I think mentally, I'm not putting a date in my head of when I think, because it's just all speculation at this point.
Yeah.
But well, I think they answer your question. They will be back. I believe so.
Well, I think there's so many resources, especially in that space, to change and to pivot. And one thing that, I've learned a long time ago, years ago that we somewhat practiced, and I believe that everybody gets this now, is what I believe is called the online offline blend, and how there's so much stuff that you can do online. There's so much, but then again, there's so much stuff that needs to be done offline. And then if you learn how to blend the two of them together, and inside our businesses, if we operate like that, it can just go so much further. And I think open houses is a good example of that. I think real estate in general is a good example of that, as so many people do the research on the internet. It's cheap, it's free, it's accessible. And then when the time comes of, these are the 100 houses I've looked at. These are the 3 or 5 that I really, really want. I'm not going to go waste time, on these, I'm going to just go onto these. So I think, the open house and in general, because people are going to be cautious. I mean, listen, things aren't going to just open up and pick up where they left off. If people believe that, I think that's silly. I just don't see that happening. Even if restaurants are open, if houses are open, whatever the case is, any industry is open, there's still going to be, the consumer is not going to have full confidence to go and do that. And they might not have full confidence to, hey, you probably are able to, charm people by shaking their hand, looking themselves in the eye, demand respect. Like that's a big trait for any salesperson. And, Craig on the other hand is super tall. So he hops up to you like this, and then you just know who he is, right? So we all have those skill sets that as good salespeople and business owners, we utilize, and that's probably not there anymore. Like I think people are going to be a little bit more standoffish. They're not going to meet you somewhere and get a firm handshake from you anymore. So there's other ways that you kind of have to win, in that regard.
Yeah, there's a really good book called 7 Levels of Communication. I actually have it right here on my desk, and it actually has a communication pyramid in here, and it talks about that. And at the top of the pyramid is one-on-one meetings. So you have to basically, look in here and say like Zoom calls isn't on here, StreamYard and all these services is not in here. So we have to be cognizant of that, and you have to evolve. Like handwritten notes. I mean, I was talking to an agent and I said, how many handwritten notes do you write? And they said, not that many. I text people. And I said, okay, that's great. How many texts do you get a day? And they said, 20 or 30. I said, well, how many handwritten notes do you get a day? And then, answers your question right there. You're not going to get many. So you're right. You're right. You have to kind of take that and say, there's got to be other ways that we can. You've done a great job. I mean, you guys have seen, and I've seen your show, and you've been consistent over a month and a half where you might have people now that are kind of just jumping into this after they've seen 100 other people do it. But I think those are the things you stand out and you be a difference maker. And like we talked about before on the call, I isn't you guys, but your business is moving. And Ian, obviously all the things you're doing as well from an investment side are moving as well. So there's things that we're all doing differently, and that we look at the opportunity of this and say, this is a challenge. And we want to have a chance to stand out, because everybody else can just keep doing the same things and they're going to lose. So if we're innovative and we change and we grow, and we stand out, that's the key, is being different, then we're going to be successful, because the work ethic that got you to this point is not going to change. It's just how you're going to apply yourself.
That's right. 100%. So where do you think, and I get that statement of being different, or being unique and really setting yourself out apart, but where's that fine for you? Where do you think that fine line is between, being different, but still doing stuff in a conventional way that people understand? They're not like, this guy's crazy. I'm not doing any business with him. And I fully understand your point. I just want to elaborate on that a little deeper.
Well, a way to stand out, I think right now, is to be different, is to be positive. And just to have a spin on everything you do, to be positive. That's the difference. If you're being negative and you're being fearful right now, it just with your messaging, then just by focusing on specifically being positive and getting out a positive message to try to drown out all the negative. And then on top of that, being conventional with your communication style, reaching out to your clients and just doing what you need to do. Of course, the one-on-ones have been effective, we just talked about, but I think the way that you want to stand out based on the vibe and your energy and, who you're going to be through this is going to be making the person at the end of this that much more of a standout, because they're like, man, Jason and Ian, these guys, they're coming on, they're doing these consistent podcasts. Even through this, like, they're not talking about how great they're doing, but they're not doing bad, because they're clearly out here doing it. And I think that in and of itself, and just being present and continue to put out what you guys are doing content. I mean, right now it's going to stand out more than ever because people are home.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, when people say, oh, well, look, Zach's just a happy guy, right? Like, it does take work to put that, get your mind set and get right. It's very easy to go into doom and gloom. I think naturally for some people, it's just really easy. But to take it and say, okay, this one thing is working in my business today, and really expanding on that and say, well, I'm gonna implement this in my business every day and be happy about this one thing every day. Jason used a good line that I literally recite every morning now is, if it's good for me, it's good for my business. whatever that task may be, whether it's going to the gym, it's eating however the heck you want to eat, or it's getting rid of something bad in your business. If you use that mentally every day, I think you're going to advance a lot further. That's everybody out there.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. I didn't realize
it all coincides.
I didn't realize I mentioned that to you because I didn't make that up. Obviously, I had one of my old business coaches told me that, and I wrote it down on a index card and literally left it on my desk forever. And it's like, if it's good for me, it's good for the business. And if it's good for the business, good for me, and vice versa. But and context of where that came is, sometimes entrepreneurs or business owners feel guilty if they're not just grinding full time, and it's our nature. And the reason why most people, some people are successful, some people aren't, is like, your business is your hobby, your work, at work, at home, it all overlaps, right? Everything we do just overlaps. And, sometimes you feel potentially guilty if you're not kind of grinding or working hard enough. And
true that.
But again, just like you take care of your business or your kids or something else, you got to take care of yourself. And if yourself's not taken care of, you're not going to work. So one other thing related to what you said, Zach, earlier, with this topic related to kind of grinding through these times and taking care of your clients and being happy and active and just, show them a smile on their face, just the value in general. I mean, every business, all three of us have different business models. And in general, there's so many different business models in a broad level real estate, a little bit niche down of real estate investing. There's so many different business models and there's so many people involved in each one of them. But yet there's only some of them, there's the top half or the top percentage are successful. And the reason why is you're providing value to your client. I know a lot of real estate agents. I know a lot of rental property owners. I know a lot of hard money lenders. It's just that simple. But why are some more successful than others? And it's not just because, we potentially have a gift of like being happy and joyful and nice and kind and outgoing, but you're providing value to that client. Chances are, and I've heard this in so many industries a long time, for so long, that chances are the person that you're buying your product from is probably not the top number one expert. There's probably somebody smarter than them and maybe even better than them that you're buying that product from, but you're going to relate to somebody that you like, that you can relate to, and that provides you value. And, Ian and I both follow a lot of stuff that Gary Vaynerchuk puts out, a lot of stuff that Russell Brunson puts out, and it's just providing tons and tons and tons and tons of value. And no matter what industry you're in, the more value you can provide, the more successful you're going to be. And I remember reading this story about, a swimming pool company. It was a local swimming pool company that was struggling, and they were like, we're the best swimming pool company. But it's like, great. This little mom and shop swimming pool company who's not as good as you has so much more success than you guys because they're doing this one thing and they're providing more value. And what they were doing is they were creating content and articles and videos. And next thing you know, they were just known as like the swimming pool gurus. Because anytime you needed anything related to a swimming pool, you just knew that you could go on the internet and you could learn about it. And then when it was time to buy a swimming pool, you'd buy it from them. And again, it doesn't need to be, I don't think it needs to be videos or articles or blog. I think it's all that in general. It's just providing a ton of value with your clients.
Yeah. Yeah. And who are you? I mean, I always ask agents because I coach agents, at Northrop, and I say, who are you? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, to the people that know you, what is your reputation? Are you professional? Are you like organized? Are you not organized? I mean, like you have to have it. And I always make the analogy when I talk about social media, I say, social media is like having a credit card. All right. It's better to have a bad credit score than no credit score. So my point is, if you have social media, you need to use it, because even if somebody thinks you're annoying, there's going to be 3 people that see, oh, you know what? They're in that business, and maybe I like them already. I'm going to use that person. And they put out the dumbest content I've ever seen, but you're still going to get business from it. So I think that a lot of what we do, and you talked about value is a huge word, and it's thrown around. I think it's certainly just thrown around for whatever reason too. But the question I have is, and what I try to do is, how long do I want to provide value for these people? That's how you're successful. Is I'm not providing value through the transaction. I'm going to provide value for you for the rest of your life. So everything I do during the transaction is going to be with that in mind. I may not be the most organized. I might not be the best negotiator. I might not have everything in line, and be the number one, but I have enough, and I know where my value is down the road and what I do well, which is, good friend, good relationship builder, and someone that likes to involve other people in my life. Where I was raised was my parents were very inclusive of other people. And so when I have people that are in my circle as clients, they're not in my circle as clients. They're just in my circle. They were clients and they got into the circle. Once you're in the circle, you don't have a category. So I don't look at it from a perspective of like, I got my clients over here, my friends, my family here. It's like, if we communicate with each other and we have a respect between each other, I'm going to give you all the benefits I could possibly give you to help you out.
Yeah. And the one word that I hate, because I know a lot of gurus use it, but it is so true. And I need to find a way to repurpose this word, but they always say, I'm here to serve you. I don't know why it drives me up a wall, but it really is true. I'm here to serve our tenants and provide them with a quality product. That's my value proposition. Jason's value proposition is serving people and providing them with a way to finance properties, and you're there to serve and provide a way for people to buy properties. And this is not where I thought this conversation was going to go, and I'm actually more excited about this conversation than talking about transactions. But there is something about the value ladder, right? And bringing people into your network. And this goes for any facet of real estate, whether you're fixing and flipping, you're renting houses, you're lending money, you're a real estate agent. The people that you need around you, you're providing value to your contractors, or you're providing value to your tenants, or whoever it may be. I get it. It's very easy just to go into transaction mode and say, oh, you're just a contractor. Let's keep our distance. But, it's the same thing for us. We bring those contractors in. They're a part of our family. They come up to our creek house. We go to cookouts. We have a Christmas party. Like, you're a part of the family. Like, you need something, call us. We're there. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that in business, generally speaking, whether it's real estate or any business. Business, it doesn't matter what you're doing. People lose sight of that very quickly.
Well, and it's not about one person. It's never about one person. And you need it's a family, it's a tribe, whatever you're doing, everybody's got to work together. So if you're at odds with the contractor, or you're not treating him like he should be treating, just like you said, just like a contractor, then maybe his work's going to suffer. Maybe he's going to charge you more. Who knows? But you shouldn't even think like that. You should be treating people like that in general. And I agree, it's not in practice as much as it's talked about.
And yeah, exactly. And in most businesses in general, the longevity of the client and longevity of being able to do business with them or people they know is forever. If you have one motivation, hey, you talk to somebody maybe at an open house, or they walk into your office, or you meet them for the first time, and your one motivation is to try to sell them a house today, or sell them a loan today, or do this today, you're never going to succeed. It's that simple. I mean, I do loans for people that I created a relationship with even 10 years ago, that I'm doing my first loan for them today. Same with you, I'm sure, with buying a house, selling a house to them. That's the business model. I'm going to provide you as much value if I get money in return or not in return. Like, it's that simple. You can't judge the book by its cover, and it's easy for people to judge a book by its cover. But most times, if you've been in business long enough, you get you realize real quick, the first person you judge the wrong way, that ends up failing, because all of a sudden they knew so and so. And I feel like real estate agents in general, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of them believe that the individual contact you have with one person, you believe that's your client that you're going to sell a house to. But really, the chances are, let them be a sneezer for you, because they have relatives and friends and family, and they're just one person. There's only so many transactions you can do with that individual person. But they can spread they spread so much more.
Yeah. And how do I connect to somebody that has a network that's going to connect me to more people?
Right. Am I allowed to say spread like the virus, or is it too soon?
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I was going to ask you, which I might skip, but it was related to. Hold on, Zach just hopped off. Zach, we just lost Zach's internet. Hang on one sec. He'll come back.
While he's coming back, I'm glad that we just didn't talk about transactional real estate, because it is super easy. There's a lot of valuable points that were just brought up in this short 20 minutes that we were just discussing all this. It's easy to forget your core principles and your core values very quickly, and just be a transactional type person, especially when you're in transactional mode, which a lot of people are right now, a lot of people are fending for themselves and trying to keep their businesses afloat, and it is difficult for people right now. So it is good to hear to keep your eye on the prize, keep it moving forward. Hopefully Zach comes back here because I'm only a good filler for about 2 seconds. I don't know what
he is. I just texted him. I'm guessing his computer probably froze or something, but he'll hop on. One of the questions I was going to talk to him about.
You want to jump in?
Was good. Who'd you got over there, Dan?
No, it was Ryan. He was stopping by.
Ryan, how about, buddy?
Nah, he just walked back out. We were swapping.
All right, here's Zach. There you are. Are you good now? Oh, wait, you're on mute. Zach, you're on mute.
Take yourself off mute.
There you go. You good?
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, my computer died. I wasn't charging it.
We've all had it. Ian, looks like I know that's a maintenance closet you're in, and that. Tell everybody again who's just hopping on. Ian, where are you? Hey, Ryan.
We are. I'm in the basement of a maintenance shop at a 76-unit apartment building. So
got it.
I'm working.
Got it. All right. So one of the questions we ask a lot of people, and we can talk about this if you want, but I figured we can skip to the next question. Is your thoughts on the current market? If buyers are buying, sellers are selling, and things like that.
I can speak to that.
Yeah, talk to that for a second. Then I got an interesting question to ask you about newer or newer real estate investor agents. But go ahead, let's talk about that for a second.
So I did a search. I looked in the last 7 days. I looked at the Baltimore metro area. So Baltimore and the 5 counties surrounding it. So Anne Arundel, Carroll, Howard, Hartford, Baltimore County, Baltimore City, and it's insane. So new active listings. Is 45% lower than new pendings. So basically, it's almost for every one new listing that comes on the market over the last 7 days, 2 go under contract.
Wow!
So you're going to outpace. You're already dealing with very low inventory. It's historically, there's nothing. I mean, this is I call this the retail market for the most part, but this is actually the whole market, regardless of price point, but it's just an inventory shortage. It is a seller's market like we've never seen. Anything in the 200,000 to 500,000 range that's kind of higher up in its individual market where it's selling is getting multiple offers. So I've never seen anything quite like this from a perspective of there's so many buyers for so few listings. It's so competitive.
So you think potentially a seller's market, right?
Right now it's a seller's market because there's way more buyers than there is sellers, for sure.
No, and that doesn't surprise me. And we've been kind of counting the not days anymore, but the months of like April 1st was a big day because we wanted to see how many mortgage payments came in, how many rental payments came in, and then May 1st again. And everyone we've talked to. And I mean, we see this firsthand with, the loan applications that we get because, I'm doing dozens and dozens of those a day. So I see who's applying for loans and the numbers that they're buying them at. And in general, just we've noticed there's not enough pain in the marketplace for sellers, not distressed sellers out there, for buyers to come and scoop up bargain basement deals. But at this point, it seems like it's still a seller's market. So, and the only reason, and I don't think that's surprising. I'm not stating that. But I will tell you that I have seen some pretty good opportunities for real estate investors in the areas that you even mentioned that are out there compared to 60 days ago.
I think so too. I think the investors, the normal retail buyers have stayed in the market or come into the market at a much faster pace versus the investment properties. You're not having as many listings like you were before, but you're also some of the buyers left. Like you said, a lot of these hard money lenders went belly up and there's less, there's just less of them now. So I think that the difference between the investment game and the retail game is the inventory hasn't really changed. It's low across the board, but there's less buyers for investment properties than there were before.
Got it. Let's hop into some of these questions real quick before I ask you my next question. So let's see. Good afternoon, team. Good stuff. Zach. So here's a question from Michael. Has the stricter mortgage criteria affected the volume of buyers you see? Are certain pre-price range price ranges affected more than others. Example, 100 to 300, very affected. 300, 600, not so much. $1 million homes.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
So yes, great question. I think under 300 is definitely different because under 300, you have a lot of first-time home buyers, so you don't have a house to sell. That's one less thing you got to worry about. Money is stupid cheap. Okay, we know that. And then so you have no inventory, cheap money, no assets to sell to buy this next asset. So the frenzy of buyers that I'm seeing is more in that under 300 range for sure. There are the income limits and some of the different criteria for the lenders has changed. Like some of them have up their credit score requirements to be able to get certain loans, specifically like VA and FHA loans. The credit scores have gone up for a lot of lenders. That's not a federal thing. That's a lender by lender can decide how they want to handle that. But I think some of the bigger ones, like the jumbos, you got to put down higher down payment now. So you're seeing the luxury market is definitely more affected. It is probably slightly more of a buyer's market than the first time buyer market, which is insane. I mean, I've had several listings in the last couple weeks that have had 20 or more showings within a day or two and 5+ offers. And these aren't like flips that are under market value. These are regular market value renovations in some cases after renovation.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think you've heard this story, but I've said it pretty openly on the show. We had a rental property that we decided to just sell. We put some money into it instead of turning it over to keep it as a rental. We sold it, and the week before coronavirus, we put it under contract, or we listed the property, and then got a little nervous, obviously, what was going to happen. The week after this, coronavirus kind of was full stream and everything was shut down. It went under contract for over ask. And it was, fair price. It wasn't like, so at a fair price, they had some, the process of them doing the inspections and the appraisals was a little bit slower, but like we closed on time. The deal closed at the end of April, and like it was crazy. And, reached out to the buyer to ask him what was up. And he was like, the interest rate was low. This was the house in the neighborhood I wanted. There wasn't much inventory. Like this one worked for me. So it's crazy.
One more thing, Jay, on that, and I want to mention this. The area that we live in, there's a lot of major infrastructure. So you have like medical, defense contractors, military, IT, distribution hub. Like a lot of these industries are not as affected right now because they're considered stable and essential. And just the area that we happen to live in right now, I think that has, because I've been talking to realtors in other parts of the country, and they're not seeing as much activity.
Yeah.
Do I get to use the word? Do I get to use the word?
What's that?
Is that your word?
We're in an insulated market because we're closer to DC, whether it's government contractors, supply chain contractors. We got the port here. We got all the good stuff going on. So we definitely agree. We've discussed this one too very thoroughly.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, the DC government, some of them are working from home. They're working, right? They haven't lost their jobs. There's such a huge amount of people locally that have not been impacted. But I would agree with that price point as well. Maybe not 100 to 300. I might say 150 to a little higher, or 200. I was just talking to a potential client that had a property in Parkville area, and I was like, areas like that are great. I was like, we do loans in those areas. There's always demand for properties. There's always buyers and sellers in neighborhoods like that. That's just what it is. And I'm a firm believer. And I've had a few people that might disagree with me, and I won't even use Baltimore. I can use DC instead as this example, that properties are expensive in some areas, some of our local markets in general, but I don't think they're completely unrealistic compared to other areas of the country or just in general. And the reasoning why is you take what's your mortgage payment compared to, if I rented a house next door, what would my rental payment be? And they're very, very realistic. They're aligned. If I go buy a property and flip it in Glen Burnie, and I flip it for $300,000, and then new homeowners price would be what? Mortgage would be what? $1,500, $1,600 a month?
Higher, 17, whatever.
$1,700. If I go rent a property, it's the same price. And this is arguably in the part of the market that we're towards the height of. That's been increasing overward. So like, listen, if you could go rent a property for $2,000 or buy it and your mortgage would be $4,000, that's an issue. right? Because then it's like, what's the point? And there's a lot of public, advocates that are against investing in real estate and against owning real estate. Maybe not locally, but in parts of the country, because it just doesn't make sense to. Why go get a mortgage if it's going to be significantly more expensive than renting a property? Even with all the benefits of being a homeowner, it still potentially doesn't make sense. But around here, I believe that in general, they're aligned. So I think that's good. And they're most in the median housing price neighborhoods, they're more aligned than anywhere else. All right, next question from Dara. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. What advice do you have for realtors who are budding investors themselves? I want to continue to be valuable to my investor client base while at the same time growing my own portfolio to flips and holds. How can I do with this?
I got good advice on this from somebody.
Do both. Do both. Sorry.
No,
sorry.
It's fine. So
do both well.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're up. Go ahead.
How can you do both well? Well, I think you need to, number one, kind of stay in your lane. So if you're mostly selling $200,000 properties in Parkville, just take that for example, or 250 houses in Parkville, and you're looking at what type of market do I break into? I mean, that's a good opportunity to say, okay, I can rent that $225,000, $250,000 house out in Parkville for $2,000 a month. I can buy it. I can have a mortgage all in as an investment property for $1,400. There's a vacant and all the numbers, but the point is buy in the areas that you know already. Like, don't go into multifamily because Ian does it. Like, you can, but start somewhere where you know that product, the tenants that are going to be coming in, and that's what somebody who was way more has better advice for this told me. And yes, I have done holds, I have done flips. Just did my first flip. It's under contract. It's going really well. It's going to settle in 2 weeks. But I say to what you know and who you're surrounding yourself with, and don't just go and do the next shiny investment because you heard about it. Be educated on whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, I absolutely love this question, Dara. Me and Jason talk about all this all the time, that real estate agents should be, you would think that they would be great investors, that you guys have all the market data, you understand the information very well. And Zach just brought up a very, very good point, is that operate in areas that you know, right? If you understand that area, you're going to have market knowledge better than anybody else. One, you're going to be the best realtor in that area. Number two, you'll be the best buyer and flipper in that area. And number three, you definitely be a great renter in that area, or a landlord, because you can explain to your tenants all the advantages. And most importantly, you have an exit strategy for all of your models. And it gives you a great reason to continue to market in that area. I'll be straight up honest with you. I was most comfortable in the hood. That's where I got my start, right? Because the firehouse I worked in was in not the best neighborhood in the world. And I understood that market. I understand how the people work, and I understand I could buy houses cheap. That's what worked for me. We've slowly but surely blossomed into, the next shiny, I hate to say next shiny object, but the next better asset class, and worked our way up. I think another great point that Zach brings up, or we would all agree on, is just take a small little bite. Don't lose sight of what your core essential business is. Me and Jason 100% believe that real estate agents should be investing in their future. It's a very transactional business. Now's the time that kind of proves that it can shut off at any given time. You should have some sort of passive income, but take it slowly but surely. If you normally do 4 transactions a month, and you can say, you know what, I'm going to take one of those transactions, wipe it off my books, and I'm going to just do one house for myself, and I'm still going to do 3, and I'm going to do this 3 really well, and I'm going to do 1 for myself, then do it. We totally agree. Don't lose sight of what you do well. Still provide the value that you should to your clients, but do take some time for yourself. 100%.
Yeah.
I love this.
And you got to decide. You got to decide what you like. I don't work with only investor sellers. I work with mostly sellers, about 70% seller agent. But I also like the families and the people that are moving up or moving down or whatever, the history of the home. I like that too. So you have to know yourself. And I didn't just want to be a listing agent of flips. I do list flips. I work with investors, but I work with my other ones too, because again, you want to diversify yourself, and you want to be working with different kinds of people. So Jason, sorry.
Oh, that was good. No, I agree. I mean, my take on it, unfortunately, is that a lot of real estate agents are notorious to be, great at selling real estate and not great at owning and operating real estate. And again, like, there's always a time to start, right? And, it's fine, but again, you sell one property a month, and let's say you make $5,000 a month, and you sell 100 properties a month and make whatever that is substantially higher. It's still active, hard work, grinding income. It's not having your money work for yourself. If that spigot gets, capped and you're out. And again, most people, it has nothing to do with real estate and agents. It's every business. Most businesses are transactional. You do a loan, you do a loan, you sell a soccer ball, whatever it is, and it's one transaction. But the beauty of being in real estate investing, and obviously flipping a house and selling a piece of real estate is very similar transaction. It's a one-time fee. But if you're buying rental properties, you're investing in notes, you have other creative ways, buying apartment buildings, other creative ways that you have residual income and building wealth. And the reason why I think real estate agents, sorry, I say real estate investors all day. I don't say agents that much. So, but the reason why I believe real estate agents should do this is they have the upper hand more than anybody, right? They're in the industry, and this doesn't mean take that away from the core business. But I think what Ian said of like, hey, I sell 5 properties, I buy 1 property. I sell 5 properties, I buy 1 property, and then next thing you know, like it works. I mean, time flies. I mean, look back, Zach, of like when you started in 2014 and where you are today. I mean, Ian, think about the first property you bought. I mean, I can tell you the first 17 loans that I did in 2007 when we started. Like, you remember that, and then you like time flies. So, and it's hard to like not get caught up in your day-to-day transactional work of like, hey, I could do this over here, but why? Because if I sell this house, I'm gonna make $5,000. If I buy this rental property, I'm gonna make $250 a month. It's no money. What's the point? And the point is it grows and it snowballs and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And I think since Dara's still watching, because I see her still commenting on the side, I think another valuable way that you can invest in real estate and not lose sight of your day-to-day transactions is whatever neighborhood you're working in, you probably know the best investors in that area. Why do the whole project yourself? Maybe you can just invest some money into the deal. Maybe you can be a JV partner in the deal and work your fee out with them. There's other ways to skin the cat where you don't have to take on the whole risk. And again, you should have the best market knowledge out of everybody at that table.
Yeah, my flip I just did, I partnered with my builder because I don't know anything about that. So I'm not going to get involved in it. I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to give design advice and how to set up the house. That's my value.
The same thing when we used to do a lot of buys with people and holds with people. We put up the capital and they did everything else because that's my superpower. You guys each know your superpower. All right, let's do 2 more quick questions. And Ian, if you have to roll, no problem.
I was gonna say, Zach, I'm out. I got to roll. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. I'll finish up with Zach real quick. All right, 2 more questions and we'll
sure.
We'll call it a day. So what would you recommend real estate agents, either ones getting started right now or even some that are successful right now, do currently when chances are their transactional work is a little bit less than it was before? Like what are some things that they would what would you concentrate on? Like, what would be like an actionable game plan?
I think a game plan that really still works for me, because I'm very simple. Like, I still have I know you're the whiteboard guru, but like, I have a whiteboard. I'm staring at it right now on the other side of the screen. It's got all my potential prospects. These are handwritten people that I'm looking to work with as buyers or sellers. So first and foremost, have a way to look at your leads. If you're in our business where you're not handling 50 new buyers, that you might be working with 5, or it's even a successful, really productive agent might have 5 or 10 buyers at a time. So I have them in my CRM, but I also have them written down in front of me. So getting yourself organized is a great time to do that and say, okay, I need to make I call it an A, B, and C list. Your A list is your best clients that are like your family, not necessarily in your family, but you really interact with them like family. Maybe they've given you a bunch of referrals, maybe they haven't, whatever the case is. You have your B's, which are kind of the next group, and then you have your C's, which are trying to get into your A's and B's. So organize your A, B's, and C's, get your people that, you're looking to reach out to. And then just like check in with people. Like I have like an automated gifting service that I use that I send to my A+ clients every quarter. They get something from me. But like I text people, I write notes, I call them. Like I'm just checking in with you. Like I'm not talking about real estate. Hey, how are you doing? How are you holding up? Are you hanging in there? And I'm not even bringing up real estate, because at the end of the day, Jason, they know what we do at this point. Like if you're in my circle, in my sphere, you probably know I'm a realtor, and I don't have to remind you every 5 seconds. So just by me being a friend to you and me being there for you and helping me, maybe you need a connection, maybe you need a new lawn guy or an HVAC guy. It goes without saying, if I'm professional and you know that, you're probably going to refer me anyway. So yep. I think instead of thinking about, because so many people right now, I think the natural reaction is a survival instinct. Like, I got to get all these deals, like, right? Because I'm going to go broke. Well, why not have that mentality? Because it never works long-term anyway, and say, who do I want to be? Like I said, who do I want to be to my people? Do I want to be this nagging person who's just checking in with them every 5 seconds, trying to get their business? Or do I want to position myself differently and say, all right, I'm going to check in with these people, I'm going to organize myself, and I'm just going to be strategic about giving people what they need. Hey, can I help you with anything right now? And making that list. Build that list, because if you write it down and you keep it in front of you, you're going to remember it a lot better than if you just have it in your memory. So get organized and simplify.
The hard sale never works. And if you're known as the person of like, oh, this person's calling again, they're just going to ask me like when I'm moving or whatever, like that doesn't work. That doesn't work. It's providing value. If everyone, whoever's listening or watching or whatever platform you're on, if you go to Hard Money Bankers emails, we've sent out about 1,000 emails since 2007, different email copy, and all of them are the same. There's not any there's no selling in any of them. It's providing value. It's
providing information.
It's exactly. It's providing information, knowing that, hey, you have our contact information. You have our email address. If you want to reach out and you need more information, we're here to help. But like, it just gets old. Like, if you're on, I'm trying to think of some like really bad examples of, this might not be funny for everybody else, but it's funny for hard money lender groups that Chris and I are involved in. Like, we laugh when we see these, the only emails that ever come out, the only content they provide is, hey, I just closed another loan of $300,000. Hey, I just closed another loan. It's like, that's your business. You should be closing loans. What value is it for me to know that you closed the loan? You got to be providing value. And that's, and unfortunately, like, it's hard for people to do if they're not used to it. To me, it's easy because I've been doing it for so long and it's on the top of my head. Like, think about where you daydream in general. Like, I daydream in the shower and when I drive. Like, those are my two places that I know I daydream. And because I know I'm going to daydream in those two particular places, like, it's just like clockwork. Like, what am I going to talk about in my Private Money Minute today? What am I going to talk about with Zach today? What am I going to talk about on this stuff? And it's just like content. What are we going to write in our emails today? So if you train yourself to help bring value to people and learn when those aha moments that you currently have, you write them down. It's endless. It's content. Like, how can Zach help his clients flip a house? How can he help them, if they're in financial times? How can they, whatever it is, and provide value. And nobody wants to do the hard work long term, but like, that's where it is. Like, that's the business you're in. I mean, I hate to say it, but like, anybody can be a lender. Anyone can sell real estate. Like, it's not brain surgery. Like, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. But again, I could switch, Zach and I could completely switch roles and we'd still be successful because, the key principles that we follow and everyone should follow the same things. It's just, providing value. And like, that's just what it is.
But I think the thing that you guys do really well that I try to do is you attract. It's like, are you attracting business or are you extracting business? And what I mean is, you should be attracting it by doing the right things and adding the value versus extracting it, which is, something saying like, hey, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell? That's a aggressive, active movement. Where if I'm just really good and I put out content and people can just see it and they're like, you know what, he's actually is good. It's not him just saying that he's good. Then they're going to use you. I mean, that's just the simple way business works. So the key is find a way, like you said, to attract business by providing value. And then the hard sell doesn't even come into the picture because they want to work with you.
There's no sell. There's nothing to sell.
Yeah.
You're not selling. And also when you work like that, then there's the social proof element,
Yeah.
Hey, the referral thing. Listen, if someone gives you a referral, if I pick up the phone and says, hey, you worked with so-and-so, they liked you. What's there to sell?
Gold. Like, yeah, I mean, I tell people if you can't get a referral to work with you, then you're not a good agent, because they're basically coming to you for you to F it up unless you don't. You know what I mean? They're already ready to use you. So those are the people that, you really need to treat as gold. I mean, you treat everybody the same, but I mean, like,
sure,
people that have been referred to you statistically are better referrers of future business to you. So it's statistically, if you're looking at it from a business and a lead perspective, someone that is referred to you is a better lead than someone who isn't referred to you and is, found some other way.
Exactly. And we obviously don't want to make it come off that it's super rosy. Like, it's the long play. Like, if you're in it for the short term, it's not a business. It's just not. Like, it's got to be done. So, like, right now, I hate to say it, but like, something you do today is not going to benefit you today. I mean, there are cases that could potentially happen. The work that you put in today is going to benefit you tomorrow. And that was the point of some of the stuff Zach was talking about, of things to work on right now. If you're home, if you have less transactional work, if you don't, have to go show houses right now because you can't show houses, or whatever the case is, you have less time, do it. Set up your system, set up your strategies, maybe potentially make some calls to, find another mortgage broker to work with, that see what their lending products are, whatever the case is. But I mean, I'm a huge advocate of creating content for people and putting it on social and email databases. I believe that, if you use the metrics of, you take your top line revenue, right? And then you divide it by your total count of your email address, or your email list, and you figure out what that dollar sign is. That's how you know what each individual person on your email list is worth, right? So, and it could be a lot of money in that particular case, right? So we have 70,000 people on our email list that are local real estate investors in general. I take my top line revenue, and then I determine what every email address is worth it to me. And there's a lot of metrics I use on that in general, but like, that's just what the number is. We send out multiple emails. I'm providing content on that. If I want to try to go acquire a new client, I use that as a metrics. And I'm getting a little too far ahead in advance, but you're
talking about you're building on it. You're building on it's your body of work that matters, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, cool. Everyone on my email list is worth $50 to me a month, or whatever the case is. And if I want a new person, a new lead, a new email address that I don't know, that means I can spend I have to spend less than $50 a month to back it up. But like, those are just games that we play to know what the true value of the business is. So we got a little far ahead on that, but provide value. That's the goal.
And measure it. And measure it is what you're saying. Provide value and measure how it's making an impact.
That's exactly right. So, all right, one last question, and then you can give everybody info where to find you.
Yeah.
Where do you believe at least the local real estate market's going to go that you operate in? Like, if you had, whatever, if you could see into the future, next month, 6 months from now, a year, 2, 5 years from now, where do you think the market's going to go?
So I think a lot of people will start to initially compare it. I wasn't in the business like you were when the market crashed. You had just gotten in, I guess, in doing what you're doing now. So it's hard to compare it to that because there's so many economic factors that are different, right? The first thing people want to say is, well, last time that happened, you had all this inflation, you had the subprime mortgages, you had all these other things at play that were really propping up the market before the crash even happened. So right now, what we were going into the market as prior to COVID was the strongest, organic market that we've ever seen. And I mean that by, year over year appreciation from the crash. We're back up to 90% where it was. You had all this inventory set to come on until the inventory increases in this area. And I'll start because I guess the investment side is affected a little bit second. you have like the regular market and the retail market where there's no inventory. So until the inventory comes on, will you have less buyers? Well, maybe if something bad happens, but you're still going to have a lack of inventory. So the first time buyer price range for foreseeable future, I'll say the rest of the year, because I don't want to predict more than 6 months out, will be strong. I think that if we have secondary employment is affected by the long-term effects, like the 3 to 6 months after this initial wave hits, if a bunch more people lose their jobs, then that's certainly going to create an issue. But I think it depends on what the mortgage industry is going to do with their guidelines. Are they going to continue to tighten up? That's going to box buyers out. And, beyond that, it comes down to just the ability to borrow money. I mean, if people can still get money cheap, the interest rates don't go up, which I've been hearing they're probably not going to for a little while now. They're in the normal interest rate for like an FHA or conventional is like low threes. Some people are getting them under 3. I mean, VA, crazy. So I think it's going to remain a seller's market for the time being. And I would hope that it'll become more of a buyer's market when people get the sellers lost confidence when this happened quicker than the buyers did. So the sellers are still kind of waiting around to see what happens. So I think if they start opening things back up in the next month or two, I think you will see more transactions, more active listings happening. But long term, I mean, Jay, it's so hard to say. I think right now you got to sit out. I mean, I'm confident in everything I'm doing, everyone I'm working with. I'm just going to keep doing my thing. So,
yeah, no, I agree. And the beauty of it is you learn every day and you adapt as needed. I mean, I would guess you're probably accurate that over the summer into the fall, we're going to have like a little boom as things continue to open up and, there's more transactions kind of available. And then, the big thing is the interest rates, and who knows how long that's going to happen. And obviously the presidency will determine that as well. When the time comes. But, if interest rates go up from the low 3s to the low 4s, it's still a low interest rate, but that changes purchasing power very, very quickly. And I'm hoping that if as it happens low. And unfortunately, it doesn't always happen like that. But the writing's on the wall, and it's been on the wall. And who knows if this was just literally a speed bump and then the market goes back to where it is. That's kind of scary, I would say, because who knows? That could just been like a manipulate. I don't know. It's funky. I would guess that things are going to change, but I do believe that where we're at, as long as you're doing good, solid deals, and people can stay, investors in general can stay liquid, and kind of change as needed, and hopefully hopefully market stays strong, and we'll kind of see where that goes. All right, yeah. Peter. I think your question is you just want to reach out to one of us. I'll give you my email below, and then Zach can type in his email as well in a second. But I'm not sure who you mean.
No, this is for you. It looks like more for you. Hard money. Okay. Hard money.
That's fine.
Person.
I'm happy. Why don't I just give? Well, I give everybody your info real quick. We'll just end with that, Zach. That's probably good.
Just Zack Bryant. Zack Bryant Real Estate of Northrop Realty is my my Facebook, my business page, but you can friend me, Zack Bryant. I have Zack Bryant _RE on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I don't really use Twitter. My email address, my name is spelled Zack, ZACK, and then my email address is just zackbryant@northroprealty.com. And any questions you have, if you need a connection to anybody else that's maybe not necessarily even in real estate or lending, I'm certainly always open to help and anything I can do.
I spelled that right? I think so.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, I appreciate it, Zach. Was fun. Any last words for everybody before we hop on? We had a good 40, 45 people on live at any given time, which is good. Typically, we have a few thousand local real estate investors and agents and real estate professionals tune in, and we try to do the show as much as possible. But yeah, any last words? I'm on with that.
I would say your attitude, not your aptitude, determines your altitude. Zig Ziglar.
Should I comment that real quick below?
If you want.
You got to keep talking for like 30 seconds while I type all that. No,
I'm a big Zig. I'm a big Zig guy. You mentioned some Gary Vee and some other players. These are people that were well before that. I'm more of old school. They're great guys too. You said Brunson. He's like the ClickFunnels. And then
my partner Chris and I were one of the original members in his mastermind group years ago. Not that long ago, but 6 years ago or whatever. Right? It was pre-ClickFunnels. It was right when he started ClickFunnels, and I'm such a big believer in all of it, and just because it's so related to the stuff that we do. I mean, it's and one of the reasons, and you probably don't know this, but the reason why, and Ian's a big follower of him as well. The reason we're doing this show right now is because I was listening to, you know how you listen to someone for a long period of time and they do daily podcasts and everything, and then you kind of just take a break, just because like you have a clear vision and a clear game plan of where you want to be. Well, I've had that clear game plan, so I stopped listening to his stuff and I started focusing on some other stuff. And then I was taking a walk like right when this happened, and I was listening to one of his podcasts because it caught my attention. And it was like, this is the time that all of us should be going all in with our audience and our following to provide them value, because they need your help more than ever. Like it's kind of our obligation. Like I'm on the front lines of real estate investors every day because I get dozens and dozens of investors that I speak to every day. You know, I have relationships with you and agents and title companies and other hard money lenders. Like I need to spread that word and share the information with everybody, because not everybody, you know, is as active as we all are. So it's important to share that. And that really resonated with me. And I reached out to Ian and I was like, instead of it being like the hard money bankers way, like, let's get another perspective and bring you involved in as well. And we kind of collectively did it. And we were able to kind of get some great experts and guests like yourself to share it.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for doing everything. I mean, you're obviously a pioneer in your industry and you're doing a great job. I see it. And, thank you for having me.
No problem. You want to answer one last question?
What do we got? Yeah.
One last question. I'll read it to you from Linda. I'm a realtor. I was doing quarantine, but I'm surprised some agents are very busy. So I'm a little scared to go back out to work. Zach, what do you recommend me to do to go out? And
I mean, that's definitely personal decision. I certainly recommend, following the guidelines, gloves, mask, hand sanitizer, whatever you're going to bring. I've found that, again, people are more open to it, generally speaking, than you would think. So I kind of just let people make their own decisions, but I would just say, be safe, talk to your broker. Our broker was it was funny. They came out right away when National Association or Maryland Association of Realtors said they didn't want us showing houses. Our broker said, you can still show houses because the CDC says you can. So it's up to you, but again, you got to be hopeful and stay safe, but you can do it. Just got to be proper precautions.
Cool. Appreciate it. All right, man. I'm going to log off for now and we will chat soon. Take care, man.
Talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too.